Alright, you guys.
Broadcasting.
First off,
From
this video is in
Nashville.
regards to Europe. So, cheers to a European espresso.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of feels like a spritz and chips with our little
I know. It's fun.
aperitif.
So as you've already seen from the title of this video, which is why you clicked in,
Yeah.
we're about to break down the entire story of how we got robbed in Saint Tropez.
And why we don't have a Saint Tropez vlog.
Exactly. So yeah, if you are totally not following this whole situation, Booker, hey, don't shoot that off.
No.
Sorry, he has a bandage on. We just went to Europe for 3 weeks, and while we were there, we went to Nice, France, we went to Saint Tropez, France,
And then over to San Sebastian, Spain.
Yes.
And then to Majorca, Spain. We
Yes.
got back like 2 days ago?
yes.
A day and a half ago?
So our plan was to vlog each city because, as you guys know, we love to do travel vlogs. There's lots of travel vlogs on our channel. And we put up Nice, and then we went to vlog Saint Tropez, but
And we vlogged most of it.
we did vlog a lot
Not
of
most
it.
of it. We vlogged a lot of it at the very beginning, the first like day or two. We were like, this is gonna be a great vlog. We're having so much fun. And we still had a lot of fun.
We did,
but
but-
there was a big pivotal moment
Yes.
and a big dent in the trip that we didn't express on Instagram. We weren't necessarily gonna talk about it. We weren't sure like if we were gonna
Yeah, it's not like the happiest thing.
Yeah, we were
but
gonna like whatever, but we were like, you know what? We feel like people need to know this.
Yes.
Because we found out later that it's very, very common.
Yes.
And so if you found us because you're looking to go to Saint Tropez, watch this video.
Warning.
Because it is very informational on things they don't tell you that you
Yeah.
should definitely know when going to Saint Tropez.
And I feel like it also just opened our eyes to like just things that can happen when you're traveling, and just like being aware, keeping yourself safe, and hopefully someone can learn from our mistake.
Yeah.
So
If you are going to Saint Tropez, if you're going anywhere outside of your like comfort zone, into like a new country, into a new city, even if it's like in the US, wherever you are, hopefully you can learn something from this,
Yeah.
as we have.
exactly.
So, anywho,
So,
with
let's take it away.
without further ado, let's jump in. Tea time.
Cheers for getting robbed.
Yes, cheers for getting robbed. So
Okay.
yes, we got robbed.
So we got robbed. So we check
got-
into Saint
We got brutally robbed.
really robbed. Okay. We check into Saint Tropez. We rented a villa off of VRBO. My sister set up the villa, and we met my parents there. It was my parents, Hunter and I, and then my sister and her husband and their 2 kids.
Yeah.
One is a baby, one's a toddler.
Backtrack a little bit. We travel to Europe a lot with Julia's sister and her husband because they live in Amsterdam full
Yes.
time.
Yes.
And so when we go to Europe, a lot of the times it's either us going on a trip ourselves and eventually meeting up with her sister
Right.
and husband, or we are going to Europe because we're going on a trip with them specifically.
Yes.
So this trip was planned with them. We planned it about a year and a half ago to go to, we were going to go to Lake Como.
Yeah.
And then about 4 months ago, we decided to alter plans and go to
Pivot.
Saint Tropez instead.
Yes.
And it was just going to be us 4 and their 2 babies. Well, we convinced Julia's parents to join us as well.
Yes.
And so anytime we travel with Julia's sister and husband, they always want us to go to like one city 3 days beforehand to get over the jet lag before we meet up with them, because there's crying babies, and they
Yes.
just want us to be present and awake and alive the time we're spending with them since we live so far away.
Yeah.
So we went to Nice to start out the trip,
Yes.
and Julia's parents met us there. It was just us 4 in Nice
And that vlog is up on the channel,
Yeah.
which you can watch.
for a couple days before we rented a car and transitioned over to Saint Tropez to meet Julia's sister, husband, and 2 kids that were going to stay in a house, a villa in for a full week.
Yes.
So that's the background story. I don't know if it's helpful, but just want to give some context there.
Okay. So we check into the villa, and beautiful. Everything's wonderful. It's great. There is a gate. It's on a gated property, gate with a code, locked door, very private.
Nice villa.
Nice villa.
Nice rental property.
Yes.
It was beautiful. If you follow on Instagram, you saw some of the pictures and some of the stories, stuff like that.
Yes. The owner was great. She was really helpful in setting up. She, helped my sister find like some babysitters so that we could go to dinner like literally one night when we were there for an entire week. and help with reservations, all this stuff, right? Okay, so we're there for the first few days, enjoying, everything's great. You know, we're like, oh, it's so nice. We have like our own private house, like a pool in the back, you know. We
never felt unsafe.
Never felt unsafe.
Not one bit. Felt super comfortable and very approachable city to be in. Like,
totally.
Like we've been to Europe multiple times. It felt just like any other place we've been to.
It was a very safe city in general. So it's not that Saint Tropez is not safe at all, but in just specifically at the house, we felt really comfortable. Like we had our shit everywhere, like laptops out, purses out, you know, just like you do at home. You're not like concealing your stuff anywhere because, you know, you're not worried about anyone coming into your house.
Or like when you're on like a trip with friends at an Airbnb, like in Florida or wherever you go with your friends.
Yes.
You all kind of just like leave stuff out in your rooms, your luggage and suitcases all over the ground, and the room's a mess typically. And we were just comfortable. We felt really, really safe and comfortable.
Okay, so we've been there a few days, probably like 2 to 3 days. Everything's great, whatever. So we go to sleep the third night, and we wake up in the morning, and Hunter is showering. I'm downstairs with my parents, family, kids, whatever.
Okay, yes. So that next morning, they were all downstairs having breakfast. I was taking a shower, and I got out of the shower. I go over to my nightstand where my 2 rings are. I wear these 2 rings every single day. One on my pointer finger, my wedding ring on my wedding finger, obviously, and my Rolex watch. Those are the 3 things I always have with me. Everywhere I go, I have them on every single day. I wear them to the gym. I wear them in the ocean. I wear them swimming. I wear them all the time, unless I'm sleeping, and I keep them all collectively together on my nightstand no matter where I'm at. So I go over there to the nightstand, and I picked up my rings. All that was on the nightstand was a lamp, my book, and my jewelry. Go over there, pick up my rings, and I was looking for my Rolex, couldn't find it. I was like, what the heck, where is it? I looked around for a second, like looked everywhere else in the room, but I knew it was on the nightstand. Went downstairs to Julia. I was like, okay, maybe she did something with it, or was showing her dad, or doing something with the Rolex. So I went downstairs, talked to Julia. She was like, no, you probably misplaced it last night, or like put it somewhere else when you were going to sleep. And I was like, no, I promise, like whatever. So she's like, all right, I'll come upstairs and help you look for it. Came upstairs, look around for it for about, a few minutes. It wasn't really long, like 5 minutes, but like we knew, like, okay, it's not here. Maybe the oldest kid, he's a toddler, might have come in and like picked it up, or I don't know. You know, toddlers go in and out of rooms.
Yeah,
and, like,
and Giovanni he kept coming in my room when like I was in there, and we would jump on the bed, and he would pick things up and whatever.
Yeah, we went downstairs to say like, hey, did the kid pick it up? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
And we were talking about it, and Julia's dad was on the couch, and he like kind of heard us talking to Julia's mom about it.
And he like
bolts upstairs, runs upstairs to his room, and
we hear my Rolex is gone
he was
too.
Like, my Rolex is gone also. Comes back downstairs because his wallet was downstairs on a table, and he comes back to where his wallet was, like basically saying like, if my wallet's gone, we've been robbed.
Yeah.
His wallet was there, so I think he had like a glimmer of hope, like, oh, okay, something's going on here. But he went over to his wallet, opened it up, and all of his cash was gone out of his wallet.
Yes.
So he was like, hey y'all, we've been robbed, like whatever. So Julia's mom ran upstairs and checked their room.
Her stuff, and she goes, my watch is gone also, her watch. And she goes, and my Chanel bag. And I was kind of just like, oh, well, where's my wedding ring? Shit, I should go. That was the first thing I'm like, I should go get that or check where did I leave it. And I go up to the room, and I had like, usually I wear lots of jewelry, as you guys know, and I had taken off like all my necklaces, my earrings, my rings. I took off all my jewelry at night, and I had it on the dresser. It was all gone, like sweeped, okay? And even like not expensive jewelry, I think they just literally took all of it, but my wedding ring wasn't there.
Yeah. And then you, I guess, announced that to the family. We went back downstairs. Yeah. We were all kind of just like scrambling around, like looking to see like what was gone. And you saw your Stony Clover bag by the front door on a table. Yeah. And you had kept it upstairs on the dresser. Yeah. With your jewelry.
It was like an accessory bag, so I didn't take it downstairs.
The Stony Clover bag had all of your sunglasses in it. Yeah. And then a jewelry pouch inside of the Stony Clover bag. Yeah. And you opened it up, and all of your sunglasses were there, but the jewelry pouch was gone. Yeah. And so we were like, what the heck? We've been robbed.
We've been robbed.
And we were robbed while we were sleeping.
Yes.
In our bedrooms.
We're all trying to like figure it out, and the more that we go up to the bedrooms, we're like
finding more and
more things. I got
bags,
multiple
purses.
Designer bags taken from my room. My mom got her Chanel bag taken, blah, 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 all of that, right? So we're like, when did this happen? Hunter was like, he's like, I know, like I watch my watch. like a hawk. I took it off last night. It had to be in the middle of the night. So,
and everyone else said the same. Once we kind of
Yeah.
like realized that and said that, everyone else was like, yeah, I took my watch off and put it on my nightstand.
Yeah.
And Jill's mom was like, I took mine off and put it on my nightstand. My bag was right here last night. I brought it up to the room. We all just realized, okay, it was while we were sleeping.
So basically, we've done some like frickin' Clue board game shit on this story and tried to backtrack to figure out what we think happened. When we know for certain that it was in the middle of the night, and because we were so comfortable at our house, it was gated, code, locked and loaded, high fence. We didn't lock the front door.
It wasn't like it wasn't a see-through fence. It was a
like cement wall.
It was like
you
a
can't even see the
6 or
house from
7
the street.
foot tall cement wall. You
Yeah.
can't see the house from the street. Yeah, you would have to jump the fence because only a gate code clicker like opens the gate to get into this property.
Yes. So we were like, oh my gosh, somebody literally came in here. We couldn't identify what time. It must have been like 4 in the morning or something. My sister's
Feeding the
breastfeeding her baby right now, so she's up like every 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it had to have been within one of the windows that she was sleeping.
We're almost 100% certain it was between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. in that 2-hour window.
Yes.
The one thing we realized is that we all had things taken from our rooms, except Nicolette and Dan. They didn't have anything taken from their room. She had a couple of things taken, but
The couple with the kids.
they were downstairs. The things that she had taken were downstairs, just like sitting out, like in the living room and stuff in the kitchen. There were 4 bedrooms upstairs.
Yeah.
Julia and I were in one. Julia's parents were in one. Nicolette and Dan and their newborn were in one, and then their toddler, their 2.5-year-old, was in another one by himself in his like crib.
Yeah.
And they didn't go in the room that he was in by himself in the crib, and they didn't go in Nicolette and Dan's room where the baby was. Those were the 2 rooms.
Both of which had baby monitors in it with cameras on, which would have detected any motion. And we backtracked the cameras, and there was literally like, they didn't even try to enter those rooms, which was peculiar because we're like, how is it, like, what are the chances that they knew exactly which 2 rooms kids were in?
Yeah.
Which leads us to our hypothesis.
Yeah.
So a couple of nights before, or no, 2 nights before that, my sister had arranged for a babysitter to come through this babysitting app in Saint Tropez.
Like a local babysitting app.
Local babysitting app, and it was a mother that came over to the house. She had 2 kids of her own that were actually similar ages to the kids.
She brought the 2
so
kids
nice.
to the house with her to babysit.
Yes.
And
Lovely woman, very kind, very
Yeah.
nice. We were all like, this is great, thank you so much. Let her one night, we're gonna go out to dinner.
she was from Albania, and she hadn't been living in Saint Tropez that long. So we were just like, okay, yeah, she's like a hard-working woman. She's bringing her kids over here with her, like, much respect, like, whatever. And once again, this is a theory. We're not accusing her of anything, but we do have some theories behind it, which we'll explain. She came over when the kids were already asleep.
Yes.
So her job was just to sit down.
Monitor.
And she brought her kids with her, so she was just going to sit in the living room
Her
with
kids
her
were
kids.
sleeping on the couch,
Yeah.
whatever. But now that we started to draw all these conclusions, we were like, what are the chances that this robber knew, and not to say that it was the babysitter
Right,
that was the robber, maybe
Yeah.
she gave information to somebody else to have them come in,
Or maybe she
didn't do
wasn't
it herself.
involved
I don't
at
know.
all. Like, you know.
Totally. We're just guessing. This is theory based completely. But we're like, what are the chances that though she knew the robber knew exactly which 2 rooms the kids were in, which had cameras, which would have probably been pre-vetted, and how do they know which rooms had the jewelry in it, whatever. So, not to say that my sister didn't have jewelry, she did, but they knew the baby was in that room, so they didn't go in there.
Yeah.
So, super sketchy.
We were obviously shocked, and
Yes.
it was like very like surreal, weird moment. Like, okay, we were asleep and someone was like walking around our rooms. I mean,
Literally.
even like my watch, I was asleep and,
It was, like,
my
right
watch
here.
was probably a foot or 2 from my head.
Yeah.
And they're in our rooms walking around from my nightstand around the bed to Julia's nightstand, cruising around like in the bedroom, going from to like the nightstands to the dresser to the vanity, then leaving, closing our door and going to another room and walking around. And so what's weird is like when you're walking through, like almost like rewalking the steps of where all the items were, it's easy for me to say, okay, I know my watch was right here, we know Julia's rings were right here, and we know this was in this room and this was right here. But they didn't know that. Like,
Right.
they were in our house
For probably 5 to 10 minutes.
No, I think more than that, because to come in, you have to like search. It would be 5 to 10
I
minutes
know.
if they're like walking from, like, because you're creeping around, you're being quiet, you're
Totally.
tiptoeing. So
Totally.
you're like, it would be 5 to 10 minutes if you knew where every item that they took were.
Totally.
So they were in our house for a while.
Yeah.
And after the robbery, I was like researching online, like what, like, has this happened before? And apparently it does happen, and it happens a lot. And there's many stories about it in Saint Tropez of this happening. And many believe that they gassed the house, like put gas in through your air conditioning unit, so everyone's like passed out.
Yeah.
And we don't know if we were gassed or not. We have no idea. I think part of you are like, I had to have been gassed because I would have woken up. Like I'm a light sleeper. Your mom's a light sleeper.
Yeah.
Nicolette and Dan are super light sleepers because they are on call with their baby. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like you wake up when you hear a sound.
Yeah.
And so we were all like, we would have woken up. Like, there's no chance that we wouldn't have.
Yeah.
But other stories online say that they woke up to someone in their bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, so like, we don't know if we were gassed or not. Maybe, maybe not.
Another theory, but we're like, there's lots of light sleepers in the group. I'm not a light sleeper, but we're like, what are the chances that literally no one heard anything or
and
even
it's
woke
pitch
up?
black.
Feels weird.
We had the curtains closed. It's pitch black, so they're like walking around with the flashlight.
Oh, so freaky.
So when we would have woken up to a flashlight or any sound or like picking up a watch off a table,
a
like,
jingle.
Yeah. Or like picking up all the jewelry off off your stand.
I know, it's
all the necklaces.
clinky.
Yeah, it's just.
They're obviously experts.
Yeah,
right.
And we found out later they are, because as we kind of try to get back to like doing normal things and going around town and going to restaurants and lunch and all kinds of stuff, we were talking to people about it, like store owners, like telling them what happened, and they were like, "Oh, you were gassed, huh?" And like it's like a
and
thing.
we were like,
they
what?
know about
Like
it.
everyone said that, and we were like, well, we don't think so, but we don't know. We didn't like go get a blood test or anything. But
yeah, and then secondly, I want to add in here that the reason I even brought up the fact that we knew she was from Albania, she had told us that from the get-go. Like, we were like, oh, where are you from? Like, how long have you been living here? All kinds of stuff like that. She was from Albania and told us all this information. Well, 2 days later, when we were like walking around town and had talked to a couple locals about it, they were like, oh, it's the Albanians.
Like an Albanian group.
It's an Albanian like crime ring. We also heard from other people that it was like a Russian crime ring that's like they're supposedly they're like CIA style robberies where they're like gassing you. They come in with gas mask and night vision and all kinds of stuff. So who knows? No one really had like a legit answer, but we were super skeptical after someone said like, oh, it was the Albanians. And one person even goes, yeah, the women come in with their children.
Yeah, they like literally said that.
And so we're like, wait, so whoa. This babysitter came with her children.
These are like French people that like live, locals. Yeah, so we're like, we don't know shit.
Know all these stories and it happens all the time.
Yeah.
And
so that was weird.
Some other people said like, oh yeah, they like spot you like 2 or 3 days before and follow you around with like a drone and like kind of scout out your house for a couple days.
AirTag your car.
Like some people were saying they see you at like a beach club or at the beach and they put an AirTag on your car and follow you back to where your car goes to.
Yeah.
But the reason we were pretty strong thinking that it was the babysitter was because of the motion detector and cameras in the rooms.
The kids. So we're just using all the deductive reasoning. So basically to conclude, we think that probably it was her or an affiliation with her. She probably came in that night with her kids, whatever, did in fact babysit and probably maybe scoped it out, went into the room, saw which rooms the kids were in, whatever. And I guess she must have seen like, when we all were leaving for dinner, like the jewelry we were wearing, she probably took a look, saw all the watches.
But I mean, at the same time, our watches and jewelry were on us.
I know.
She couldn't say, hey, the watch is on this nightstand,
No, exactly. But I think she just saw, that was maybe the opportunity. She saw, oh, they have nice things. Because she saw it on us and in, like, the bedroom.
That's what makes me think that we were either, like, being watched through, like, a drone for a couple of days and, like, seeing, like, where we put our stuff.
Yeah.
Or that we were gassed to buy them enough time to, like, walk around and, like, search.
Yeah.
Like, unbothered.
Totally.
And not have to be, like, quiet about it, technically.
Well, so anyways, we did file a police report. We were obviously pretty shooken up about it. And we were able to like itemize everything for insurance claims and things like that. But the police aren't like super helpful. That's not, apparently, as we researched more, it happens really often. The Prime Minister put out a press release a couple months ago saying like, don't bring your luxury items to Saint Tropez because there's so many robberies going on, which we didn't know about.
There's a lot of stories, even like people getting their watches ripped off their hand, like wrist, while they're out in public in Saint Tropez. Like people coming up and like holding them, forcing them to take their watch off.
Totally.
Stuff like that.
And we also told the owner of the house about it, and we were like, has anything ever happened at this villa before?
Said something that happened like 4 years prior.
Yeah.
But also like, you know, we didn't rule out the fact that like she could have been involved.
Totally.
Or the fact that maybe she's not involved, but she doesn't want to tell us like,
oh, just so you know,
this happens a lot and she didn't warn us and doesn't want us to leave a bad review or something like that.
I mean, and it's definitely on us that we didn't like lock the doors, but we felt so comfortable, like you just forget, you know, and it's an easy mistake to make.
Totally.
But yeah, she did mention that it had happened a couple years prior to another family, and they were literally in the backyard cooking and eating dinner, like outside, and they came in while they were cooking and eating dinner, which is really ballsy.
Yeah.
But so it could have been much worse, which is what we all kind of gathered from it. Like we were just so thankful that none of the kids were hurt, that nobody woke up during, or that like anyone got like in a fight, or it just could have been like,
what happens when you wake up? Like you're kind of like startled if you see someone in the room, and like if you call out to them, do they like try to injure you, or do they run out and leave you unharmed? Like who the heck knows?
Yeah.
2 police officers came over and basically said like, yeah, these things happen all the time, that they are super sneaky and are skilled and know what they're doing it a long time, I guess. When I was researching, I found articles from like 2012 about this, so it's been happening a long time. They kind of keep it hush-hush. The local government kind of seems like they keep it hush-hush.
Totally.
Like the police, they were just like, yeah, it happens a lot, we can't take any fingerprints because y'all's already touched everything. And we're like, we haven't touched this bag over here. They go, oh, well, they're probably wearing gloves. Like there was no
effort, no urgency to try to investigate any further. It was almost kind of like, oh yeah, okay, like, you know, we've seen it, and just like, let us help you with your insurance
super
claim.
Sneaky, should have locked your doors kind of thing.
Totally. And all they kept saying was, they don't want to hurt you, don't worry, they just want to like come in and get stuff, like we've seen it before, and they won't harm you.
They said it's a
like, well, thank God.
It's a violence crime that happens a lot, and
which also makes it sound like they're so familiar with it. They were like, oh no, don't worry, they won't come back, and they don't want to hurt you. We're like, so do you like know them?
right
Yeah.
One thing it could have been is like, these robbers know which houses are Airbnbs, and they just hit those reoccurringly.
Definitely.
You know, and like,
I mean,
kind of know their way
why
around
wouldn't
it.
you? It's actually kind of pretty smart.
But it was more like violating to start thinking, 1, that they were in your room while you were asleep.
Yeah.
2, have they been following us for a while and like watching us like in the middle of the night? Have they been watching us during the day? Like how long have they been on us? How long have they been planning this at this house with us in it? It was just like all those thoughts were running through our mind, and we were trying to get down to the bottom of it. But anyway. It
was not fun. And yeah, I think moral of the story for us is we learned to not travel with luxury items. Or wedding rings, which I actually, last time we went to Paris, I did not bring my wedding ring or my watch. I was like,
wore your CZ.
I wore a CZ ring because I just like didn't, I don't know, I had a bad feeling. And then for some reason this round I wore my ring. I don't know why. I did not bring my watch, so
yeah.
But
I think you just have like this trust in people that when something like this happens, you just like kind of lose faith in people, or like lose trust in a way. Like that's how I felt. I was like, man, like we got took. Which, yes, we should have locked the doors.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
we're in a
totally
gated
like
property
that
felt like super secure.
It felt far-fetched. Like, no one's going to come in here. They're literally
while we're sleeping.
While we're sleeping, going to have to hop the fence. Like,
yeah, we would lock all the doors when we would leave the house. It was just like at night while we were sleeping in this gated, we're all at the house.
We're here. Like, surely no one's going to barge in while we're home and take our shit from us. Like, right? That just seems like a stretch. But, you know, apparently, I know Europe, like, pickpocketing is a big thing. It's in a lot of different countries. So I always was worried about that happening, but didn't ever think that it would be somebody barging into our house where we were sleeping.
While we're there.
And, like, taking it.
Then it doesn't seem possible.
Totally.
But fair warning, it is very possible.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't fall
Victim.
victim of it like we did.
So lock all of your, even when you're at a rental, I would be just as cautious as if you were in a hotel room or whatever. Or, I think in general, what the family said that we just wouldn't travel with luxury items at all.
Yeah, and luxury meaning your wedding ring, like any jewelry,
which,
purses, whatever.
Anything nice, I just wouldn't risk it.
An interesting thing is that they didn't take any laptops.
Yeah.
All of our laptops were just like scattered all in the living room and all over the dining room table. Like they were out. Cell phones, like they were on our nightstands, charging next to our jewelry.
Yeah.
They didn't take any wallets, credit cards, anything like that. They only took money, jewelry, purses.
Mm-hmm.
One funny story actually is that one of Julia's mom's purses got stolen and her passport was in it. And so
she was panicking.
Yeah, none of our, so that's another thing. Like I said, none of our laptops, phones, wallets, anything were taking, passports, nothing, no identity theft, anything like that. But her passport was taken probably by accident because they would just snatch the person off.
And just grabbed it.
She was panicking because we were leaving in like 3 days, and so she started looking up like how she can get a new passport. We found out we had to go to the embassy. It was 2 hours away from Saint Tropez. So the next day, Julia and I drove her mom to the embassy 2 hours away to get her a new passport.
We got there at like 12 and then we didn't leave till 4.
4, yeah. So we were there for 4 hours.
Yeah. Drove back 2 hours.
Drove back 2.5 hours. And
full day.
Yeah, and then get back home. We're kind of having dinner with the family at the house.
Mm-hmm.
And she comes downstairs after dinner. She's like, guys, y'all are going to kill me. And she like held up her passport.
She found her passport. We were like, oh my God.
Julie and I didn't care. We were like, whatever. It was like,
we made a day out of it.
It was like nice to go to Saint Tropez for a day after
see
all
a different
that.
city, whatever. It could have been worse, but we're like, wow. What panic will do to you.
So that was kind of a funny story. We made light out of it. We really looked to like, okay, what can we learn from this?
Yeah.
And like Julia said, don't travel with your luxury items. But also like we realized that those are just material things.
Yeah.
Like we were so thankful that nothing else happened to like any of the family members. No one was hurt.
Totally.
No one was taken.
No. Something like there could have been way like more, I think, emotional damage that could have happened that would have been way heavier, and it just could have been just so much more traumatizing. So they're just things, they're replaceable, they really don't have like any meaning. Obviously my wedding ring is very sentimental and we're sad about that, but it's just an item at the end of the day, and it at least we still have each other. Wouldn't be saying that if one of us was missing.
I know. We were even joking. I was like, oh, Julia's probably ready for a new wedding ring anyways. And she was like laughing. But
I know, so it feels weird I don't have a ring.
Yeah. But it is weird they didn't take my rings off my dresser.
That's surprising, huh?
Why not just grab it?
Right.
But it is weird, like how we said Julia's Stony Clover was downstairs by the front door. Like they had brought things downstairs and were like going through it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like let's just grab everything and like go. Like they were taking out wallets and credit cards and leaving stuff that they didn't want intentionally. Like they didn't want phones and laptops because they would be traced. That just shows
if I
that they
have
were
to say, like they were nice, like for like not taking my dad's like whole wallet, they just took the money. Like they're pretty. It was quite peaceful if I had to say anything, but it doesn't make it any less evil.
It was intentionally peaceful. It was intentionally violence. They don't want to be charged with like identity theft or anything like that.
Yeah, they don't want to get caught.
Yeah, and they also don't want to be tracked by a cell phone or a laptop. So it just shows that they were skilled and they know what they were doing. Some articles I read said that when you rent a car, the license plates on the rental cars like basically signal that they're rental cars. You can tell, and so they just like follow people and spot people there. They'll spot you at beach clubs and send the drones in, maybe air tag your car. We heard a ton of different stories. The scariest obviously was probably the fact that like maybe we were gaffed.
Yeah.
Because we all woke up kind of feeling groggy with headaches and stuff.
I know, which we don't know. Everything's theoretical.
But yeah,
creepy.
We got robbed.
We got robbed. We got took. So hopefully you guys can learn from our mistakes and just consider this in all of your travel moving forward, especially if you do rentals or you like dressing up when you're on vacation. Just something to think about. And we just thought we'd share, spread the awareness. I think it was ultimately a blessing in disguise. Everything is a learning lesson and there to teach you something, maybe create a little more awareness, whatever. So hopefully this helps and you guys can kind of take the information moving forward, just in all situations. Just remember that and protect yourself, look out for things, all that stuff.
Yeah, moving forward, I'll probably, when we go to like new cities, like look up like safety and crime and all that kind of stuff. Like
definitely.
I would never think to do that.
Totally. I mean, we were
in cities that are popular that people go to.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't just happen in Saint Tropez. Like, be careful.
Definitely. We have one more Europe vlog coming next, which would be the next city we left after Saint Tropez. Hunter and I went to San Sebastian, Spain, and it was really fun.
I edited that vlog on the way home from Europe, so that one's ready. It'll go up after this one.
Anyways, we love you guys. We'll see you soon. We're back in Nashville vlogging and everything, so it's gonna be a great fall.
House tour coming up.
Yeah.
Bye guys.